what if the way you've been living your whole life isn't really you? Picture this. You're 29, sitting at a family barbecue. Everyone's laughing, planning, connecting, but you feel off. Maybe you're the logical one, always overthinking, but they call you cold. Or maybe you feel everything so deeply, but they say you're too sensitive. You've tried to fit in, but it's exhausting, like you're playing a role that doesn't fit. Carl Jung, a 20th century Swiss psychiatrist, believed this happens because most of us don't know our true personality type. And we're ignoring the hidden parts of ourselves that could set us free. Today, we're diving into Jung's 4 personality types: thinkers, feelers, sensors, intuitives, and how they shape your entire life. Ever wondered why you think the way you do or why some things feel so hard? Let's uncover the real you together. Jung said, "People don't have ideas, ideas have people." Your mind operates in a specific way, a lens that colors how you think, decide, and connect. But here's the twist. What if the lens you've been using isn't yours? Since you were a kid, society, your parents, teachers, friends, pushed you to be a certain way. If you were logical, they might have said, "Feel more." If you were emotional, they might have said, "Toughen up." If you loved daydreaming, they called you a dreamer. If you focused on details, they called you rigid. From day one, you've been shaped to fit expectations, but what if those expectations were never you? Ever felt like you're fighting against yourself? Jung believed everyone falls into one of 4 core personality types, based on how your mind processes the world. Thinkers, guided by logic and structure. Feelers, driven by emotions and values. Sensors, grounded in the here and now. And intuitives, always chasing hidden meanings and possibilities. You might think you know which one you are, but what if you've been living as the wrong type your whole life? Jung said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." Let's find out which type you are and what you've been ignoring all along. First, let's talk about how you direct your energy. Jung identified 2 attitudes: introversion and extroversion. Introverts focus inward. They recharge through solitude, deep thoughts, reflection. Extroverts focus outward. They gain energy from people, action, the world around them. You're 25 at a party. If you're an introvert, you might enjoy it but need to slip away to think, to process. If you're an extrovert, you're in the middle of it all, thriving on the buzz. People think introverts are shy and extroverts are loud, but that's a myth. An introvert can be confident. They just need space to recharge. An extrovert can enjoy quiet. They just crave external energy. Ever wondered where you get your energy from? Now let's dive into the 4 personality functions, the core of Jung's theory. These are the ways your mind processes reality: thinking, feeling, sensation, and intuition. Everyone has a dominant function, the one that feels most natural. Let's break them down. Thinkers prioritize logic, structure, facts. You're 30, planning a trip. Thinkers map out every detail, budget, timeline, focusing on what makes sense. Feelers prioritize emotions, values, relationships. You're 28 at a crossroads. Feelers choose the path that feels right, even if it's not logical. Sensors live in the tangible. They trust their 5 senses, the present moment. You're 26, hiking. Sensors notice every detail: the crunch of leaves, the smell of pine. Intuitives live in possibilities. They see beyond the present, chasing patterns what could be. You're 27, brainstorming. Intuitives dream up ideas others can't see. Which one feels most like you? Here's where it gets deeper. Each function can be introverted or extroverted, creating 8 unique types. Let's explore them. Extroverted thinkers are all about efficiency. You're 32, a project manager. Everything's a system to perfect, but you might dismiss emotions as messy. Your strength is order. Your weakness is missing the human side. Introverted thinkers go deep, analyzing internally. You're 29, a researcher. You question everything, refining your understanding, but you might seem detached, lost in thought. Ever met someone who's all logic, no heart, or vice versa? Now, extroverted feelers. You're 31, hosting a dinner. They sense the room's mood, keeping everyone happy, but they might neglect their own needs. They shine in connection but struggle in cold, logical settings. Introverted feelers. Follow an inner moral compass. You're 30, an artist. They stand firm on what feels right, even if it isolates them. Their depth is powerful, but they might struggle to explain it. Ever known someone who seems to feel everything, or someone who keeps their feelings locked away? Next, extroverted sensors. You're 27, a chef. They live in the moment, savoring every taste, sound, texture. They thrive in fast-paced action, but might miss the bigger picture. Introverted sensors rely on memory, tradition. You're 33, a historian. They cherish what's familiar, recalling details others forget, but they might resist change. Ever met someone who's all about the present, or someone stuck in the past? Finally, extroverted intuitives. You're 29, an entrepreneur. They chase possibilities, jumping from idea to idea, but they might leave things unfinished. Introverted intuitives. See the future. You're 28, a strategist. They sense patterns, predict outcomes, but struggle to explain how. Their insights seem almost magical. Ever known a visionary who can't slow down? Or a quiet genius who sees what's coming? Here's a story. My friend Mia, 31, always felt drained. She's an introverted intuitive, loves big ideas, deep insights, but her sales job demanded extroverted sensing, constant action, small talk, details. She felt like a failure until she realized she was in the wrong environment. She switched to a role where she could strategize, and she thrived. Ever felt like you're in the wrong place no matter how hard you try? Jung believed your dominant function shapes your life, but it's not the whole story. You also have an auxiliary function for balance. A thinker might have feeling as their auxiliary, helping them connect when logic isn't enough. An intuitive might have sensing to stay grounded. Then there's your tertiary function, less developed, but it shows up sometimes. And finally, your inferior function, the weakest, buried in your unconscious. You're an extroverted sensor, great at action, but your inferior introverted intuition makes abstract ideas hard. Ever struggled with something that felt impossible? Here's the game changer. Your inferior function is your greatest growth opportunity. You're a thinker, dominant in logic, but your inferior feeling makes emotions tricky. You're 34 in a fight with your partner. You shut down, focusing on facts, but they need empathy. Facing your inferior function means stepping out of your comfort zone. For a thinker, it's learning to feel. For a feeler, it's embracing logic. For a sensor, it's imagining possibilities. For an intuitive, it's grounding in the present. Jung called this individuation, integrating all parts of yourself to become whole. Ever felt unbalanced, like something's missing? Let's talk about the shadow, the unconscious side you ignore. You're 30, always nice, but you snap unexpectedly. That's your shadow. Repressed anger, selfishness, vulnerability you've pushed down. Jung said the shadow isn't bad, it's just what you don't want to see. You're 28, annoyed by arrogant people. Jung would say that's your shadow reflecting what you deny in yourself. Ignoring it makes it louder. Facing it brings clarity. A friend of mine, Jake, 32, realized his perfectionism was a shadow fear of failure. Admitting it helped him relax. Ever noticed a trait in others that drives you up the wall? Let's make it real. How does this play out in life? In relationships, a thinker and feeler might clash. You're a thinker, 29, arguing with your feeler partner. They want connection, you want solutions. Understanding your types helps you meet halfway. In careers, an extroverted sensor might hate a slow, reflective job, but shine in action-packed roles. You're an introverted intuitive, 33, drained by constant socializing. You need a job with depth, like writing or strategy. Ever felt like your job just doesn't fit? Problem solving looks different too. Extroverted thinkers break problems into steps using data. Introverted thinkers analyze every angle. Intuitives seek patterns, thinking ahead. Sensors focus on what's practical right now. You're 31, on a team. An intuitive suggests a bold idea, a sensor wants proof it'll work. Recognizing these differences turns frustration into collaboration. Ever clashed with someone over how to solve a problem? Here's a cultural angle. In the US, we value extroverted thinking. Logic, efficiency, results. But if you're a feeler or intuitive, that can feel suffocating. You're 27, an introverted feeler, told to stop overthinking your values. Society often rewards one type over others, but Jung said no type is better. They're just different. What would happen if you embraced your natural way of being, even if it doesn't fit the mold? Let's bust some myths. People think Jung's types are rigid boxes. You're either a thinker or a feeler, a sensor or an intuitive. Wrong. Jung saw them as a spectrum. You're not just one type, you have all four functions, just in different strengths. Another myth. Introverts are shy, extroverts are loud. Not true. It's about energy, where you focus it, inside or out. Jung's ideas inspired modern personality tests, but they oversimplify his work. He saw personality as a lifelong journey, not a label. Ever felt boxed in by a label that didn't fit? Here's the big picture. Individuation isn't about changing who you are, it's about becoming who you've always been. You're 35, finally accepting your quirks, your shadow, your weaker functions. You're not just a thinker or a feeler, you're both and more. Jung said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." Most people never get there. They live by expectations, suppressing their true selves. But you can. Imagine a life where your thoughts, emotions, and actions align, not because you're perfect, but because you're real. Ever dreamed of living that freely? Let's get practical. How do you start? First, identify your dominant function. Comment below. Are you a thinker, feeler, sensor, or intuitive? What shaped you? Second, notice your struggles. They point to your inferior function. If emotions trip you up, you might be a thinker. If details overwhelm you, you might be an intuitive. Third, face your shadow. You're 32, always positive? Try admitting when you're angry. It's uncomfortable, but it's growth. What's one part of yourself you'll explore this week? This isn't a one-time thing, it's a journey. You're 40, looking back, realizing how much you've grown by embracing all of yourself. Jung's work isn't just theory, it's a map to a fuller life. In a world that wants you to fit in, individuation is about standing out as you. What would your life look like if you stopped pretending and started being? If this sparked something in you, if it made you curious about who you really are, don't stop here. Like this video, share it with a friend who gets it, and subscribe for more. What's one thing you've learned about yourself today? Drop it in the comments. I'm here for it. Let's keep uncovering the real you, one step at a time. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.